Hi beautiful friends, welcome to Mother Knits. My name is Catherine Live, and on this channel I love to share with you my crafting journey, primarily the craft of knitting. I am so excited to sit down today and talk about one of my absolute favorite knitwear designers. This woman has truly elevated my apparel knitting skills. I would say that when I'm looking for something really special that I want to knit and then have something to wear, something really feminine, very elegant, and yet very classic in my wardrobe, Sari Nordlund is who I look to. I've got about 10 patterns today that are on my list. We may need to talk about a few others, but 10 for sure that I want to share with you that are really meaningful for me. One that I've knit before, one that is in the works right now. So let's get started with these patterns from Sari Nordlund. The very first one I want to share with you guys is the Vivi cardigan. I have to say that when I saw this one pop up this year, it's the color that Sari chose. I was so surprised that she chose this blood orange color from Knitting for Olive paired with the matching blood orange mohair for this project. When I saw it, I had one of those moments. It happens every so often, right? When you're looking through Ravelry and you're like, okay, add to cart, and we're getting the yarn, and it doesn't matter what I'm knitting because I need to start on this project right now. I love the classic detail of this, and I love how the red in this cardigan could work so well at the holidays and then could really work into layering it over some spring dresses and wearing it open. I think that this is very much, and really even in autumn, you could pair this with like a mustard or caramel or copper colored dress underneath or something with those tones. And then in the spring, you could do something a little bit lighter and like a gauzy white or an eyelet white. And then in Christmas time, you could just wear it buttoned up and a little bit cozier with some trousers. And I just think it is so classic, so wearable. Now, because this is a cardigan, you're going to be working back and forth. It does have a boxy fit, a little bit of that drop shoulder, which honestly is not my favorite, but because of the cabling detail and because of everything that's going on in this sweater, I feel like this one works. Like it works for me. There are no written row by row instructions for this pattern, just so you guys know. It is charted only. I prefer working with charts with a design like this, especially since it's going to be all over cabling. So it's a DK weight project. I am just so tempted, you guys, this winter. There's some other things. I don't know. We'll have to see if it makes it into the autumn lineup video that I'm working for you guys right now. I'm starting to really think about my autumn knitting, and this one is just so, so, so tempting. I think it's so beautiful. Next up, I have the Orchid Bloom pullover, which is a lacework yoke, and then just up here, and then stockinette for the rest of the body. And then there is a sleeve detail towards the cuffs where you repeat this lace pattern again. This is very kind of, I want to almost say like Sari has such a vibe when it comes to lace work. And what I love about this one is that it's very signature Sari Nordlund look. Like it's like very curvy, the lace work is. It's really, really beautiful. There's a lot of those just like lines all kind of swimming together, but it's not all over lace. Now, this is a project that I have started. I would say this is, this is not a beginner lace work pattern. I think a really good beginner lace work pattern is what I'm wearing, is the ranunculus. I think something like a lace work yoke if you just like as a first time project, I think this one is really good. I've made videos on this, and then I even have like a YouTube short to show you how to cast that project on because it's a little bit different. But this pattern, I would say it's like intermediate level lace work, just because every single row for a good section of it in the middle, you're doing something completely different. Like the stitch counts are not following like a gentle curve or like a gradient change. It's sometimes like row by row, the pattern and the repeats are totally new. So there's like a little bit of a chunk of the lace work where I was like really needing to pay attention, really making sure that I was crossing off on my chart every line that I was doing. Now, I did go with the yarn that Sari recommends, but I chose a different color. So she, of course, went with this like gorgeous cream color. And if you're doing lace work, you guys, to wear, of course you want, and even cables too, you want that definition of everything, all that hard work to make sure that it's really showing up. So many knitters are always going to tell you, well, if you're going to take on a project like this, you want the yarn to be a light shade so that you can see the stitch definition really well. Well, I went with this icy blue. I don't know if it's an icy blue. I call it a princess blue or like a dusty blue. And I've got one of the sleeves almost finished here, and I'm loving it. This is actually in preparation for my trip to Ireland. I think that this is something you could wear with skirts and really dress it up, or tuck it in to some high-waisted jeans and like some clogs or something, and it kind of dresses down a little bit as well. But I know that this is going to be a piece that when I just need to feel cheered up, if I need just like a little feminine boost in my day and to feel like I want to look pretty, this is what I'm going to be grabbing. Next up, we have the Qatar Beret. This is so cute. And again, it's that signature Sari lace work where the lace is very much like curvy and making these really gorgeous like heart shapes. And it is a top-down lace beret. Now, I'm very tempted with this design to pair it with a little bit more of a rustic yarn. This is a DK weight yarn project. You are going to want to have some DPNs or something to finish up that very center part. She recommends 3.25 millimeter DPNs and then 3.5 circular needles with a cable. And then there's an I-cord bind off in this project. So what I'm very tempted to do is actually take the yarn from this top that I'm wearing. I've got a bit left over. I have a full skein plus a bit that I would need to weigh and see how many grams I have. It's maybe a fourth of a skein or so. I always feel like I don't want to start a project unless I definitely have plenty of yarn. It calls for just one skein of a fingering weight held with a skein of mohair. So I feel like I have enough of the DK weight yarn to pull this one off. But what I love the idea of is that there is just a bit of a tweedy like look and texture to this. Things that are almost like a little bit grungy, like a grungy green with this beret. I feel like that's such a fun and like unexpected pairing. And I still think that you would get the stitch definition. I think because you're wearing it on your head too, and I don't know, like it just feels like you wouldn't lose the intricate lace work that you've put in if you chose a color like that because you're wearing it atop of your head. I don't know, it's just the way that I see it. But I could see this with like, I don't know, like even with kind of like a trench coat, like an army green trench coat, it could just be kind of a cool look, and like some really like cognac colored leather boots, and then this as your hat. I think it's a great transitional piece in, just when the air is getting a little bit cooler and you're not quite ready for that full-blown like stocking cap kind of hat. I think that this is super cute and just a very signature sari look. I am really, really tempted by this one, and I almost want to try to get it done before I go to Ireland. I don't know, that might just be a bit much, but I'm very tempted. The next pattern I just could not wait to share with you guys is the poetry pullover. Now, this look and design, you can tell she's using it throughout a lot of her patterns, but this is an all over lace pullover. So the arms, the body, you're using this pattern over and over, and it looks like there's maybe like a moss stitch or a garter stitch. I think it's a moss stitch. So she has some sister designs to this project, the Poet and Poetria patterns. There are tank tops and hats, like there's a whole collection. For me, my favorite one is this poetry pullover. I think it is so pretty. I love how the sleeves are sort of ballooned and then you get that tight cuff. You guys know, if you've seen some of my past videos, like things that I end up wearing the most, I've got to have a snug cuff on the sleeve. That's really important for me. This is another DK weight pattern, so you could hold it with like a mohair with a fingering, knitting for Olive or something like that. For me, I don't think I would want to do that. I think for this one, I like the look of no mohair, and I picked up some yarn for this pattern when I was in Texas visiting my friend. There was this super cute little yarn shop near Houston that we went to, and I got this red stag fiber in the color Highland Scotch. It is so pretty. It is a superwash merino wool. I know we've had conversations here about superwash wool before. It's not always my favorite to work with. However, this one doesn't feel squeaky. It doesn't give me that weird feel. Like I'm very, very hopeful for this one. It's very soft. I'm really curious to start knitting up the fabric and seeing how it might come together. But this color, I think, something like this pattern, I felt like, yeah, I want to stay with like a really light beigey color. And so I went with this one, which is kind of a blush, blushy brown, blushy tan. It's beautiful. I love the name Highland Scotch. I think that that's just so fun. So I'm really excited um, to wind this up and cast this on. I think that over the winter, this will be one of the bigger projects that I take on, and I'm really excited to get started on this one. A 3mm and a 3.5mm needle are recommended. Now, I will say in a lot of like needle sets, I've noticed that the 3mm size is maybe missing, or did I lose mine? But I feel like I've heard other knitters say that in like I got the Hiya Sharp interchangeable needle set, and I don't think it came with 3mm. Am I crazy, or I don't know? But I think I need to repurchase those needles for this project. Gosh, this is gorgeous. It's so timeless. I just think that these patterns, we're going to knit them and then like they're never gonna go out of style. They're just gonna be classically beautiful forever. Next up, I have the Roseland top. So I got this pattern because I have some cotton cashmere yarn that I got when I first started out knitting, and I thought it could look really pretty with this pattern as a summer top. This is knitted seamlessly from the top down with honeycomb cables, which I've never done before. There's a lot going on here. You've got the lace, beautiful lace paneling down the front, in the middle. It's absolutely gorgeous. Does that happen in the back too? Let's see if there's a picture of the back. Yes, and in the back as well. It's knitted down the back. So the thing is, the yarn that I have, it's like a very coral pink color. And the more I was looking at this top and how much time it would take to knit it up, I decided I would want to go with a yarn that's much closer to the color in this pattern. Something like an oatmeal, maybe even a white, some sort of white that would be a good shade, because I would really want to layer this over a dress or over a t-shirt or just wear it on its own, and that corally pink color was just way too bright. So I think I'm going to use that for like a swimsuit cover up, or maybe even like a crochet project or something. I don't know. Have you guys knit with anything like that? I mean, I know I see like knitting influencers and people talk about these different cotton yarns that they've been using. And if you've never knit with cotton before, let me tell you, I mean, there is no give at all. So when you're knitting, there is some strain on my fingers when I've knit with cotton before or crocheted with cotton before. I would just really love to hear from you guys. Is there truly a cotton yarn that is enjoyable to knit with? We need to know. Like, I'm gonna get some, I think maybe in for like next summer, because I would really love to have more summer tops in my knitted collection. This is pretty much, this plus my face summer top. That's about it. That's what we got for knitted tops in this house. I would love to do more with cotton, but it is really hard on my hands. So you guys let us know in the comments if you've knitted with the Borjo di Pazzi Forenza Giza, what a mouthful, that 100% cotton or other cotton yarns that you have used and love. The next pattern I want to share with you guys is the loom pullover. I cannot resist a floral colorwork pattern, and this was one that one day I was going through my stash yarn and I had knitting, not knitting for Olive, knit picks, wool of the Andes, and then like a bulky weight Lion brand yarn in this cream color. And I had the charcoal and the cream, and I had been wanting to knit this so badly that I was like, I'm just gonna cast it on. So you guys saw how that project went. I didn't love the end result because I didn't choose the right yarn. As soon as I finished the color work part though of that sweater, I was almost sad because it was so fun. If you've never knit a colorwork sweater before, I highly recommend that goes into your considerations for a first colorwork sweater. It is such a fun and kind of intuitive pattern. I just loved it. Now I would knit that again, and I would follow Young Folk Knits lead. I would do what Casey did. The yarn that she chose was an alpaca yarn called Izager yarn alpaca 3. Her main color was in the color 33 Rust. It was that gorgeous red color, and then she did cream flowers. I love that as a late autumnal color, like a Thanksgiving sweater, could even be like a holiday sweater, but I just think that the color she chose, and then it looked like the drape of her project, it just was, that's what I was going, that's what I want. That's what I want in that sweater. I will wear the one that I have, I'll wear it on top of like collared shirts and stuff, but as we've talked about, that yarn is so itchy. That Knit Picks not alpaca, the Knit Picks Knit of the Andes yarn, I'm never gonna knit with that again. I just don't find it to be the most wearable, and something like, it would just be so rewarding to knit that sweater again in a yarn that I love up against my skin. So that is absolutely in my queue, and I am just gonna steal exactly what Casey did in those colors. It just turned out so elegant and so pretty. Next, I have the Pahoya pullover, which, speaking of Young Folk Knits, she did a knit along at this point, I think that was 2 years ago or like a year and a half ago. And Sonder Yarn came out with yarn bundles and kits for them, which they don't have anymore. But I did the staycation green with like the lavender, and I think it's called Offline. were my 3 colors for that sweater. And that's another one that as soon as I finished it, I was so happy with the process. And I loved that project so much, and it really brought me into a next level with my knitting. That project did. So if you are feeling adventurous and like you want a project that is going to stretch you a little bit, that one is a very wise choice. It is a 3-color color work yoke with it's warm. The sweater is very warm, and there is some rows with purled stitches as well. So the yarn management and just the getting your tension and holding the yarn, there's just so much to learn in that project. It is classic, color work yoke, and that one again was one that I learned so much. And as soon as I was done, I'm like, I want to do this again. And I want to pay more attention to my color dominance when I'm knitting this and what hand is holding what color. I just was so rewarded by the process of knitting that sweater and absolutely loved it. It's not at the top of my list right now, but absolutely in the next few years would love to knit a second version of that. As a PS, I did submit that project in our local, we have a little fair in the town that we live in, and that project won Best of Apparel of all of the things that were submitted. So I got a little blue ribbon, and it was put on display for the week at the fair, and it really tickled me. It was really fun. Next up, we need to talk about this raglan tee, the Rococo raglan tee. This is so cute. This is a perfect sort of project for me where you have a little bit of embellishment, a little bit of detail happening there with the sleeve, the baubles, the lace, just something kind of cute and conversational happening, and then the rest of it is stockinette. So you have like the nice mindless part mixed in as well. I have always wanted to try out the knitting for olive silk that they have, that silk yarn, and I think that that would be perfect for this. This project calls for a fingering weight yarn. It would be a beautiful springtime knit, and I could see it though as being kind of an all year sort of knit if you knit it in a gorgeous neutral silk. You could wear it with wool pants, you could wear it with shorts in the summer or with like a breezy skirt. I feel like this is a top that I would wear a lot, so I would probably actually do this in like a cream or something very basic or like very neutral, like a beigey kind of color, but a white would be really nice, or even yeah, like something kind of maybe with a hint of golden in it. This is just a really fun one that I wanted you guys to know about because I don't see many people talking about this one. It's a pattern that when I decided to do this video, I really dug deep into her patterns, and I thought this was a really special one because it's not as overwhelming as so many of the other projects that I've talked about, where it's like all over cable cardigan, all over lace, like down the sleeves and everything. I just think that this is really special, but as a maker, very, very approachable. Next up, we've got to talk about the Rivendell pullover. This is so beautiful and one of the only V-neck designs that I could find by Sari Nordlund. There might be others, but I didn't notice any others. The fit of this is so pretty. For the Rivendell pullover, I would absolutely go with Sonder Yarn Morning DK. That yarn, I think, would be gorgeous in this pattern. I think that really woolly look, but it's very soft and very, very wearable. And there are some gorgeous colors that you could choose from. You will find your color in that roundup. It's a lot of really moody colors, very saturated and gorgeous. There's a new color out that I just found in that line called Bear Hug, and I think that that would be stunning in this pattern. And I know I said earlier that, with these cables and, different looks, you want to lean towards the lighter colors, or that's the typical advice. But I think with this sweater, I think it could do a rich, like medium brown beautifully. I also think that green color I used in the loom, the staycation, that green that is like very mossy green, that would be gorgeous in this as well. So there's a lot of different options. French press would be maybe leaning a little bit dark, but oh my goodness, I think that that would be beautiful as well. So I think that there's a lot of really, really gorgeous yarns in that you could find that you would love for this sweater. She does also have photos of holding it with a fingering weight and a merino, so you know, you can see what that more kind of like soft fuzzy look would look like. But for me, with this shape, I would personally stay away from, I'm sorry, I said merino, I meant mohair. You can see that fingering like merino with a mohair combination in some of the photos of samples that she has of this pattern. But for me, this shape I think would look just perfect with that Sonder Yarn Sunday Morning DK. I think it would be absolutely stunning. And the final pattern I want to share with you guys that has been open in my tabs for like 2 years. I've realized the other day, I was like, man, I've had this in an open tab for 2 years. That is like, I should probably knit this sweater, which is the Moonflower pullover, and it is an Aran weight pullover. So I've been just like, I haven't just added to cart and gotten the yarn yet, but I'm very, very tempted. Obviously, it's going to happen eventually. It is, she recommends Camellia Fiber Co., and she uses the color Moonflower, which seems to be quite a bright, almost like cool tone white, like it is like a winter white. It's very white. I would probably go with something a little softer, maybe their color Clay. They had some others there as well that I was very tempted by, but I would probably stick with like a lighter color. Now that range in Camellia Fiber Company, they're very pastel-y. There's not, I was kind of hoping to find like just sort of like a cool heather gray, and they don't have that. I think that that would be super gorgeous in something like this. So what I might do is when I go to Ireland next month on this knitting retreat, you guys, I'm feeling like there might be some yarn in Ireland that I'm going to keep my eye out for. Aran weight, like maybe a cool toned gray, or I don't know, just maybe there's something there that might jump out at me. And if not, and I get back home, I think it's finally time to just like add to cart and pull the trigger on the Camellia Fiber Co. I've never knit with their fibers before. I've heard wonderful things. They do look really gorgeous. So there's a lot of different techniques used in the Moonflower pullover, but I think that a lot of them are beginner friendly. So if you're feeling like you are willing to take the time and do a few YouTube tutorials on some of these cables, I think that everything in here is actually like very approachable to an advanced beginner. And it really is a project that has just been so on my list because it's that thicker Aran weight. I think that it would, well, I know that it would knit up a bit quicker, and you just have that. I don't have many kind of like bulkier weight sweaters, and I think there's a time and a place for that and a mood for that where you just want to feel like you're wearing a blanket. And I think that that sweater would really check that box. I would love to hear from you guys in the comments. Which one of today's really caught your eye? Were there any new patterns you weren't made aware of? Have you ever knit any of Sari's patterns before? What is your favorite? Please share in the comments below so that we can all learn from your experience as well. Thank you guys again so much for being here. I hope you subscribe and stay tuned. I've got a lot to share with you in this fall, this upcoming season. All the fall knitting plans, the Ireland knitting and fiber retreat that's coming up in less than a month. I cannot believe it. There's just so much good stuff to share here at Mother Knits. Thank you guys so much for being here with me today, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.